Right now, I welcome in someone who's the opposite of bad. One of my favorite sports writers, Scott Rabalais. Scott is in D.C. still. Got a crazy week coming up with gymnastics and everything else going on. We're going to talk a little LSU basketball. Scott, what's going on, man?
Yeah, still here, stayed for the regional final, and check out the cherry blossoms, and now heading back today after being here the whole weekend. It was cheaper to stay than just change our flight and go back. So we'll stay for the regional final, and
Yeah.
it was a heck of a game last night. It was all the regional finals were really good, but that one was epic.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's Duke and Michigan State, Izzo versus K. So it's like, just from a spectator standpoint, not a bad reason to not change your flight. So before we get into the LSU offseason and kind of the odd, almost no man's land that they find themselves in now, I want your take on what you witnessed in Friday night's game. What do you think went so wrong for the Tigers?
Well, they're into, as you just said, they ran into a Michigan State team that played really great. Their shot was really on. They were rebounding, fantastically, and Cassius Winston, played great. Played great again last night against Duke. People are going to say, somewhat it was, not having Will Wade being the difference. It might have made a little difference, but I don't think it would have been enough to erase 17 points. So, I think maybe it would have been a closer game. Yeah, probably so, a little bit, but. His presence was not enough to make that big a difference, because a lot of this was still the game plan that he would want. They were still talking to him, and they've been in contact with him throughout this whole suspension, and he, I'm sure, had weighed in on significantly on the game plan. So I don't buy that part of it.
Talking to Scott Rabalais here, and I agree with you. Right, Michigan State just clearly looked like the better team in all facets of the game. So let's look forward now. A hell of a year for LSU. One that should be celebrated, and I think will, maybe not to the extent that it in other situations would have, because of the context of the Wade situation, which is weird right now because it's kind of a no man's land. Everybody else is hiring, making decisions for the future, and LSU's kind of in like a sit tight sort of pattern. What's your latest updated read on this Wade situation as to what happens next?
Well, first of all, it says that they still hold out hope that they could work something out with Will and keep him as a head coach. It seems unlikely, but it's not impossible. I can see that. So they're sitting there trying to wait some of this out, and you figure you're going to wait until after he testifies in this trial. So that's going to be another 3 weeks or so. But as you said, meanwhile, other teams are hiring coaches. Alabama's already hired the guy who was at Buffalo, and there are moves being made. And if at the end of this LSU has to hire someone, it's going to make it much more difficult to hire somebody good. Or maybe you'd have to promote from within. But can you promote from within on this staff? If Will Wade, is fired, one could say for cause, I suppose, in proper terms. So it's a difficult situation. But I continue to say that I think it's not the most popular one, certainly, but I think LSU made the right decision in terms of suspending him for not coming to talk with them. And he could have been fired, by the letter of his contract. He could have been fired, but they clearly don't want to do that. I think that remains the case. But you sure like to think there could be some kind of move, T-Bob, between now and April 22nd. On the start of this Christian Dawkins trial, but I just don't see where that move is going to be. This seems like two pretty intractable positions.
So a lot of people kind of drawing the obvious parallels between Wade and Pearl, given that Pearl got in trouble and then refused to talk to the Auburn administration. Now, I think that Pearl and the president maybe ended up sitting down one-on-one and kind of hashing out a plan.
That's what I've heard, yes.
So, but even in that alone, that's been interesting, right? Because the LSU administration has, Well, they won't have the meeting unless NCAA officials are allowed, unless other people are allowed in that room. So I mean, has the LSU's administration handled this wrong, given how Auburn handled their own similar case, and now they find themselves in the Final Four?
Well, right. Might makes right. In a way, I guess with Auburn, you could say. I mean, they hired Pearl, they kept it. Bruce Pearl. People like to say, oh, they want to say, well, Wade has this kind of shady reputation. Bruce Pearl has, just rumors of it. Bruce Pearl has a documented shady reputation. I mean, he had a 3-year show cause penalty after he left Tennessee. And he had an issue at Iowa when he was an assistant, and his assistants have had issues. They've been involved in a couple of controversies. I mean, Chuck Person, they had to fire him, off of the staff, and on and on. So there's, it's I don't know, it's not exactly the same situation, but anyway, but Auburn looks like. It looks like one of those unfair situations. If you're an LSU fan, I get it. If people are upset, hey, they're getting away with whatever, and they're in the Final Four, and LSU is not facing an uncertain future. Because if they get rid of Will Wade, he's going to do a Bruce Pearl or a Kelvin Sampson. He's going to have to go away, and he's going to surface somewhere else, and he's going to win there too. Yeah, so, he's going to end up at Alabama, and LSU fans will burn their houses down in protest. Right, but it's but I certainly don't agree with everything that the way Auburn conducts its business over the years in a lot of ways. I don't think you want to say that you just want to be Auburn. I don't think that's the right approach. I mean, for LSU to take. I mean, it remains to be seen. I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to play out. One more, Scott. A little bit of a hypothetical here. What if Wade is never called to testify in that April 22nd case? What if this case settles out of court and he never has to take that stand? What happens then? Oh, what happens then? I think he could come back to LSU if the relationship is not too strained. That he can't, feels like he can't work for the administration or something like that. I tell you, there's going to have to be. There's going to have to be a real mending of some fences, I would imagine. But yeah, anything's possible. That's why it's been just as crazy for we talk about suspending him. It's been just as crazy for the Dan Wilkins of the world and Nick Vitale's to say he should be fired. He should be this. That. What if this turns out to be a huge much ado about nothing? Yeah. Which again doesn't seem likely. The evidence seems pretty bad, but it's a possibility. You got to let this whole thing play out, and what you said could very well play out. Now the NCAA also has its say, but say LSU decides to weather the storm. Maybe there is some probation or some kind of penalty, whatever, based on what we know now. LSU decides to weather the storm with him, but does he still want to stay here? I don't know if he does under those circumstances, or could he go somewhere else because people look at him as kind of damaged goods right now? It's a very interesting scenario. Again, if you think Corey will be here, 6 months from now, T-Bob, you don't think he's going to be the coach, but it's not impossible. Scott Rabalais, check him out in The Advocate. You're a longtime LSU expert, everything. Scott, thank you so much for waking up and joining us this morning. Fly safe. Thanks, T-Bob. Take care.